It's me, Vera, here to remind you that this is an adult podcast. That means we're going to deal with tough topics. Take a break if you need it, and be kind to yourself, because we sure won't be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Stitch of Fate, a Vampire the Masquerade 5th edition podcast. As always, I am your storyteller, Mike Martin, joined by 4 wonderful players, Josh, Bub, Dot, and Mark. Hello, everybody. We are in the back half. We are sliding our way down to the finish line.
I don't like the term sliding.
Sliding into the back half?
Sliding. That makes us feel like maybe we're losing this battle.
There's no winning or losing in Vampire. There's simply escaping with your lives.
They're simply surviving.
Exactly.
Well, we've done that so far. Well, not all of us. Not all of us have done that so far.
That's true. That's very true. Actually,
well,
did lose
it must be acknowledged.
I can't believe 3 seasons is basically almost over. That we've been doing this for 3 seasons already. It feels like we only just started, like not that long ago. Nuts. Regardless,
going really quick.
We wouldn't be able to do this without you guys. Heading on over to patreon.com/podbynight if you want to support us. We've got some fun stuff over there. It's getting a revamp soon. We've got some really cool things being added and shifted around a little bit to just provide more for you guys to get for jumping into the Patreon and supporting our show, as well as a Discord that everybody can join, whether you're on Patreon or not. But if you are on Patreon, you get special colors and a private room to chat with us in.
Mm-hmm. I see what you did there. Revamped.
Yeah, hey, I'm a man of the puns.
We arrive pre-vamped. We're pre-vamped.
Yes, pre-vamped, preferably, and then we'll make you post-vamp. But we are, head over to the Patreon to support us. But if you want to jump in the Discord just to like jump in with the community, that's great. If you have questions about Vampire, just want a place to talk about Vampire, our Discord is a good place to do it. We have a ton of people who've just been loading into that place over the past couple of weeks, and it's been so good.
The growing shade for Mathis.
Is there a lot of growing shade for me? I popped in the other day and just saw a lot of theories, and I was just dropped some eyeballs, and I was like, I gotta go. Like, I gotta disappear.
Yeah, you didn't even stick around. Yeah, no, I joke. There's a lot of theories though about what's going on. Specifically, now that there's more information about Father out. So
yeah,
come join in
the
chaos board.
It's slowly all hopefully coming together for people. So the theories are really, really fun because it's fun to see how close so many people get, and yet how far some other people get. Like, it's very vague, obviously, but some people just have a nose for this kind of thing, and I really love it. It's been fun to see what people can like ruffle out of the little hints that have been dropped. But
if I can add, y'all got to be careful, okay? Because you might be some serious lore heads, but you're giving Mathis ideas. You're letting him really foolproof his plans, so chill out a bit.
Listen, you know me, I like lore, but I also try to stay away from lore a lot too at the same time. So. It's fun.
Mathis holds the book open with a middle finger.
Yeah, a lot of the time I'm like, I want like just this part of it. Everything else can just go. Just give me this one specific thing. I mean, hell, the Sunbomb people I fiddled with too. I was like, I don't think their power is dangerous enough. Like, let's just make it worse.
That makes me very sad going into this game now.
I just want to make it a little worse. Anyway, I think we can dive in. I think that's everything. Merch. We've got great merch stuff. Head over to our Twitter. Swing over to the link tree. There's plenty of links to the store. We've got Die Hard Dice stuff over there. We've got mugs and shirts and notebooks and all kinds of stuff with people's faces.
And we're running a sale, actually. I believe there's a sale happening over Valentine's Day weekend. So, I don't know. Treat yourself.
Nothing says I love you like Duke on a book.
Nothing says I love you like what's the romance?
Yeah, like what's the romance?
You should do specific Valentine's Day stuff like what's the romance or
yeah, we got to get that in. You got to get that line in one so we can market it.
I'll work on some Valentine's Day. We did the Valentine's last year
cards,
for Patreon,
yeah.
the cards.
Oh, that's
the
right.
Cards. Maybe we'll work up some special Valentine's Day merch.
Yeah.
Save your dollars for yourself and not the person you actually love.
All right. Are we ready to play, everybody? We've got a scene to pick up on after we left off last week. So without further ado, let's rein things in, set the scene, and see what our coterie is up to. The scene opens up with a long, dragging sound of cloth on concrete as it turns into a quick slide and a thud as the camera fades into a staked Sava being tossed very nonchalantly on a nearby ground underneath a very familiar place where our family of kindred tend to spend most of their time. Around the corner, as our familiar kindred stride in one at a time, so does Max Jr., rubbing the side of a doorway and climbing up the leg of Max before perching on his shoulder as he walks in last. The three of you now surrounding a staked, but still aware, Sava. But his eyes have been closed. Am I correct? That was Max closed his eyes last time. So Sava, you are aware, but you haven't been able to see for hours. And somebody definitely took some skin off of you. Regardless, you are staked. And as the camera pulls back to see our coterie of kindred coming together after a night at the Chantry, who's the first one to say a word, or does somebody just bend over and yank the stake out of him?
Yeah, I think Max will retrieve his weaponized stake, which he's carried with him for a number of years. And here we go, Sava. Here we are. Yeah.
With a crack and a slide, out pulls the stake, and Sava, you have control of your motor functions once more.
My fucking arm! Ah!
As he reaches over and runs his finger over a small square where a knife was gouged in and taken a piece of his skin.
Oh, don't be a baby.
I can be exactly what I want to be. That really hurt.
Sava pushes himself up to sitting position and I imagine slowly to his feet.
Don't worry, Sava. No permanent harm done. We wouldn't have let them do that to you.
No. Well, as long as I don't get voodooed by blood witches, then I think
I mean,
I'll be
that's
okay.
a distinct possibility. That could happen. No guarantees there.
Yeah, we did not promise that.
As Sava takes a moment and runs through his memory.
So it sounds like it went well.
As Sava takes a moment and thinks back, they're right. They did never promise you that the Tremere wouldn't fuck with you.
I believe, yes, that it did go very well as it could, given the scenario and situation.
And it was worth it.
Agreed. But we cannot stop here. And I was thinking, while Duke was talking at the Chantry, there is a potential other option instead of taking his father's offer. Well, as Sava knows, things got personal between Antoine and I years ago, and he seems a little hurt, I guess, that I betrayed you.
Can I get, as Vera is speaking, for those who it may apply to?
Both successes.
Oh, look at that. 2 successes.
I got a few.
2 successes.
Two successes.
Holy
Unfortunately, the
crap.
only one that I had enough of the successes that I want.
3, 4, 5. Duke rolled 6
Yeah,
tens.
he rolled a lot.
So when Vera raises this possibility of there being an alternative to Father's plan, Max sort of just leans in and goes,
Okay, do tell.
I have a feeling that as hell-bent as he is on destroying the Camarilla, if I offered him an opportunity to have something he wanted more, he might be willing to take it.
And that would be...
Me.
Yeah, I figured.
That sounds like a supremely bad idea.
I didn't say it was a good idea, Sava. I just said it was an option. I have not counter-offered on his yet, and he'll be here in a week. And I'll tell you, if we do not take his offer to pack our bags and leave New York, then things are going to get difficult.
Duke, this is where just a moment as she's speaking about this relationship with her and her once Zamitsi packmate. You do have it does tickle a very small part of the brain that you've learned through your sire in particular, as you were being taught the very basics of kindred as you were being raised as a neonate. It does remind you of the story of the fall of Constantinople. A horrid relationship between a Toreador and a Zamitsi gone wrong. Possibly the whole reason Constantinople fell in the first place. Tends to be a messy relationship combo.
And is this something that I would know well, or is this just like a fleeting
You would know
memory?
it would be a flicker of a thing. You wouldn't know the details. Your sire probably wouldn't have lingered on it too long, as he would have found it less important than the history of the Ventru and their rise and fall and the like. But it's still a big piece of kindred history that even the Camarilla still talk about to this day occasionally.
Okay, and with
It's
my
historical.
with my knowledge as a Venturer through my tutelage, would I know much about the clans and some of their follies?
Sorry, what do you mean by that?
For specification, like the Tzimisce, like
Sure.
what they might be preliminarily known for instance, I, as Bub, know out of game that
Sure.
the Tzimisce are referred to as dragons and their keepers. Is that something that I think Duke might know?
I think that's a basic thing you would understand of the old clan, is that they are rather possessive of their things, which a lot of kindred could be said. Toreador can be said about the same thing, and Ventru in very similar fashion. But certainly the term dragon applies to Tzimisce in a few different ways, and guarding their hoard certainly is one of the cliche ways that kindred do see the old clan, which is another name for Tzimisce. So yes, I would say so.
So he drops it all, lets you walk away, leaves the prince to be, wakes her from whatever state she's in, and he fucks out of New York. And I could just be in tow.
I got to admit, Vera, when you talk about this idea of making an offer, it might not be a bad one. But what I'm saying is, we use that to bait him.
Oh, a little bait and switch action?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, because I was thinking, I don't know how much Vera has changed in this time, but you really think you could spend eternity just having a little road trip around America with...
Oh no, I
soapbox
very
of all
much
fucking
plan to
people.
kill him the moment we cross state line.
Okay, all right,
Right.
good,
Oh,
good,
great.
all right.
Okay, well,
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
help.
That's
Yeah,
more of a
we're on the
plan.
same
That's
page.
more of a plan.
I guess I needed to be honest about the stakes.
I've learned a lot about those recently. I'm game.
I mean, it's not a bad idea. This guy seems pretty obsessed with you.
Duke, you're quiet. And in an abnormal way. If I could say so. What are your thoughts?
Has Duke been simply watching the coterie, or as the camera turns from the group to focus simply on Duke, or does Duke seem preoccupied with thought?
I think Duke is just sort of taking things in, but you can definitely see that like the cogs are turning in his mind. And with the mention of this, I think Duke chimes in. I'm just flirting with the thought of the mirror of Constantinople.
Wouldn't necessarily spark any thoughts for any of you.
Well, how poetic, Duke. For any particular reason?
You see, it's widely believed that the fall of Constantinople was on the backs of a Toreador and a Tzimisce.
Oh. How prophetic.
Constantinople.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, Istanbul, right, yeah.
Close. Very close. We can work on that later. History is not everyone's strongest set.
Well, I mean, why did Constantinople get the works? That's nobody's business but the Turks.
But that is true. Why is that funny?
It's a song. It's a song.
My God.
Oh!
You've
Why?
never listened to the radio?
No. Why would I listen to the radio?
Because it's been around as long as we have.
How quaint. No, I get my information direct. Or it comes to me.
Vera,
Okay.
Yes.
Do you know a lot about the old clans?
Some. The small interactions I had with them with my time outside the Camarilla, maybe.
Admittedly, I'm not
It's
very old myself comparatively to a lot of our older generations. But there is something to say about their false follies and the groundwork that they laid. And the Tzimisce have a storied history. They are actually often referred to as the dragons. They're collectors, hoarders, very possessive. In fact, I believe, from what I can immediately recall, one of their eldest, if not the eldest, was called Drakon or something of the sort.
Well, I guess you could say I have a type.
There is a moment where we see the face of possessive Lyle
And Aster.
and Aster, and basically everybody you've come into contact with.
Look, if nothing else, I do walk away and don't come back. At least all of you would be safe enough, and maybe we can negotiate Kadir's release, and the truth of this matter can be dealt with, and...
I think there's fault in this.
You can all move on.
I think you're looking for a way out for us when you should be looking for a way out for yourself. You may have lost the club, Vera, and it's something that was given to you. But you are your own dragon of sorts. You are your own collector. And we are sort of your collection. Wouldn't you agree?
I guess. But I don't
And
see
stop
as...
cowing down and find a way for yourself out.
I don't see it as ownership to... I don't own any of you. You come and go as you please. I chose you because I enjoy your company. And the strange loyalties we have to one another.
Yeah, well,
Camera pans to Sava for just a moment.
well,
He's just twirling his mustache and like giggling to himself.
Loyalty, yes.
look, Vera, don't think we don't appreciate it. But, Duke's right. I mean, we're not gonna let you take the brunt of this.
We're going to have to be smarter and more manipulative than he is.
Good luck.
Shouldn't be a problem.
I mean, I lied to him once before. I lied to you, Sava, all of you. For nigh on
Yes.
30 years.
You think I ever believed anything you ever said?
Well, Antoine believes you did.
Antoine believes a lot of things and most of it's bullshit. So let's see him burn, then we can all get what we want.
Unfortunately, I can't say I handled our conversation with the utmost delicacy, so there were some things I did not get revealed, such as his master evil plan in its entirety. I get the idea that we are on track in some way with his kamikaze plan, but I believe there is something else, and I can't quite put my finger on it. He is a changed version of who and what he was. He is obsessed with this cult, aspects of his followers, so much so that he's going to sacrifice them all. Not to get personal, Duke, but I thought maybe this kind of mentality was something that could give us some insight on.
Which portion, exactly?
Well, the portion where he's going to be somewhat of a mass murderer, believing himself to be the father figure for lost souls because his heart was broken by a woman who never loved him.
Well, if there's one thing I learned about Kindred, it's that they're very self-absorbed. Everything is a petty involvement, and a harsh reenactment, life upon their own ego. Motively speaking, this sounds like it is a polished tone of revenge, more so than just a Sabbat movement. It feels personal. I believe this is where you come in. Honestly, I feel like he's using you as a leap pad. He's lost something more than just love. He lost his footing. He lost his soapbox.
Yes.
Now, Vera, the question here is, do you reckon this guy, this, Daddy Soapbox Joker, you think that he's a true believer at all? Or is he just using that spiel for his mindless followers?
Well, if I were Antoine, it wouldn't really be either. The whole thing would be a cover for whatever my actual plan is. So he's using this concept of the holy way to draw followers in, but it can't be about followers because he's going to blow them up.
Yeah. But, I mean, if he was some kind of zealot, he might see that as a necessary sacrifice. See them as,
To what, though? Sacrifices are made to something in exchange for something else.
And the thought then comes
all part of the
to
course.
mind for everybody but Sava, really. Of whatever otherworldly creature that you all have seemed to call demon, at least for now, he's been bargaining with.
Yeah, like, that thing I saw down in the club. How does that fit into the plan? Is that thing calling the shots?
The creature.
Like, is he taking orders from somewhere down below? I know down below is relative
much
because
as I'd
spatial
like to
dimensions and
say-
whatnot, but,
I don't know anything
You mean
about
he's following
such
his
things.
dick?
no, I was talking like,
I don't think that's what he meant. Oh, I don't know anything about faith or holy ways, much less the opposite, demonic worship or whatever. That has never been part of our lives, not really.
Even the Sabbat
My
have
life.
standards, and that's a line.
But that being said, a man as forsaken as he feels he is would go to probably any measure to get his revenge.
we know that he's obsessed with you. We know he hates the camp. Guess it remains to be seen if he has any other motivations there beyond that.
Okay, say we were going to blow up the city. Say we wanted the same outcome he did. How would we do it? We have the same tools. Thin bloods who drink this concoction and go kaboom.
You pick a kindred party. When's the next Elysium?
Elysium hasn't been called under the new prince, I don't believe.
I guess.
And if you were to suspect, just because you've all lived in this New York for a while, you suspect that an Elysium is likely going to be soon. A new prince is going to want to have their first formal soiree get-together. And if the new prince is anything like you remember him to be, you're sure he is, a new Elysium is certainly probably within a month's time. You expect it to be called sometime soon.
Well, I mean,
He's clearly been...
yeah, that'll make a real target of opportunity, like they say. I think Sava's right there. But I guess what I'm really asking is, what's his endgame? Just shake shit up, stir the pot, cause chaos? What does he want at the end of all of this? What does he see as the new landscape that he profits from, right?
That would go back to... The camera kind of keeps panning back and forth, and this time it pans to Sava and Vera, as they are the ones who know what the Sabbat wanted more than anything.
It's nothing solid, Max. The Sabbat, we spent years trying to destroy all of the tools of the original vampires, and that's the Anarchs, that's the Camarilla. I mean, the end game is to kill the antediluvian vampires, if you think such a thing exists, and replace them.
I was going to say, and I'm sure to Max, there's even a question if those things are even real.
Yeah, well, it's a little easier to operate in the realm of the concrete reality. I mean, all of this might as well be fairy tales, you know? So, let's deal with what we actually know. At the end of all of this, assuming his plan goes off as he sees fit, with his father, his soapbox, whatever the fuck, Antoine, where does he see himself?
Well, think about it. Ideally, no one in the city would be left of any great note. It would allow him a chance to either gather the scrambles of what's left of the kindred world, or something has been promised to him in exchange via this strange creature, or, dare I say, demon.
Yeah, I mean, we've been calling them demons for now. We might as well call him a demon.
See, as much as Antoine claims that he wants freedom from the structure of everything, the big joke is that he's a hypocrite. Because all he wants to do is rule once again. He simply wants to be at the top, to be worshipped, and, in the end, to lead.
Yeah, well, that fits the M.O. of pretty much every asshole who decides to set them up as a head of a religion. So.
In this case, we either find a way to stop him before the good guess of Elysium, or he's going to wipe out any known structure of kindred society in this city.
Okay. All right. I got a meet set up. I'm gonna beat the bushes and see what I can find out about Gustav.
Yes, a good lead. Boy, I look forward to watching you get your hands on him.
Yeah, me too, Vera. Me too.
It's the little things, everyone. The little things that keep us going.
Max Jr. leaps from your shoulder, lands on a nearby desk, and makes his way to his litter box as Max pulls his coat up and steps from the room, disappearing from view, I imagine.
Oh, hi. It's me, Vera. While you're taking a break, take a moment to visit dieharddice.com. Die Hard Dice is a sponsor of this little podcast. They make what we do possible. During checkout, make sure to use the code DRACPAK, DRACPAK, and you'll get 10% off your entire purchase. And we get a little cut for our own resources. Sounds like we only roll with the best.
Yeah. Before I go, gonna hit the fridge. We'll do the rouse check, because I'm gonna be moving around here.
Yep, you're going to be able to say, if you're walking and staying invisible, rouse me. You get hungrier, which you negate with one of your final bags from your fridge.
Drink that down. I'm gonna have to do a little shopping on the way home, too, I think.
So you hear a slurp, and then Max ripples from existence. And as he steps out of the room, it's Duke's voice that takes over the empty void.
Vera, I've been meaning to ask. You have... Well, we have someone that has come to mind almost immediately. How long have you known Vicky Hughes?
Well, do you mean how long I've known she was a kindred, or how long have I known her? Our history is a bit contentious, I guess you could say. She has a distaste for how I do business on her blog. But funny thing is, it's not her blog. So I've given her squatter's rights, and the first time I realized she was a kindred was actually during the events in our first Christmas with Sean.
But how long had you known of her?
Goodness, probably 30, 40 years.
I think maybe it's worth a conversation with Miss Hughes.
About what, dare I say?
Well, the Salubri are an incredibly rare lot. And they are cut from a very thin amount of casts, at least from what I understand and gather. She might have some involvement here. I do recall somewhere reading in the past that the Salubri have some involvement with the understanding of infernalism. It might be worth touching on that thread.
Interesting. Well, I imagine maybe Max is due for a visit, and I could just follow in tow and be a friendly face and see if I can't get a moment to speak with her.
Is it true that the Sulubri can heal people?
The only thing you guys saw was she had touched Max and did something kind of strange.
Our experiences are pretty limited, and we're not really given much information on them. They've been a past favored meal, from my understanding. Something about their blood is rich or, I wouldn't say toxic as much as it is quite a wonderful experience, but I find value in those that attempt to hide themselves for various reasons, and if Miss Hughes has any understanding of infernalism, it might be worth at least discovering what she may know, since her very existence may also be at a thread's bare at this point.
Not a bad plan. Well done, Duke. Well done. I'll see if I can't get with her in the next few nights, if not tomorrow.
We also still have a meeting, or at least I do, with my sire in the next few nights as well.
Yes, Duke, I want to apologize for Aster. I don't do that often. To you and your sire.
No apology needed, Vera.
Yes, well, nothing like being in business with beasts, right?
My sire was right. Business builds interesting bedfellows, and Aster has given me something to develop a bit of a fantasy about.
Well, on that note, I'm going to see if I can't ring up Vicky or at least leave a message at the school. I feel there's one more thing. Oh, this is difficult. Sharing. When I broke from the pack, on the night of the attack in the city, to prove my loyalty back to the Camarilla and to break my bond.
Sava, as the camera does pan momentarily to Sava, what sort of facial expressions are we seeing in this moment? Thoughts, perhaps?
He leans in and puts his elbow on his knee and his chin on his hook.
This is information Sava has never been privy to, and I imagine a point of curiosity for Sava, wondering how she ever broke the vinculum.
I drank of Kadir and became scourge of this city. So, his return would be of the utmost import to me.
So it lasted then?
It did. It's funny how bonds work. As much blood as I drank of all of you, his was so much better.
Seems a very high price to pay.
Sava, you've known me longer than almost anyone that has been in this room tonight. You know I only gamble at high stakes.
Does Duke look surprised? I mean, Duke never looks surprised. Perhaps the wrong word. But is there a reaction from Duke at the learning that she is bloodbound, or at least was at some point, to Kadir?
Understanding the various concepts of blood bonding, Duke would realize that it would take a new blood bond in order to remove a previous, or even an extent away from the previous bond, so hearing this, it's just like, okay, that is another check that marks the box. It makes sense now.
A puzzle piece has been clicked into place.
Well, I'd say I need a smoke, but that would be a lie, but I would sure like one. So I'm going to go find some fresh air and, call Vicky.
Vera, not so elegantly, turns and walks away. For the first time in a long time, we see Vera, correct me if I'm wrong, of course. The word that comes to mind seems to be slightly shaken. Perhaps it's not right, but
Vulnerable almost.
This is a great way to... The confidence that she carries seems gone in this moment as she leaves the room, leaving Duke and Sava alone. Does the scene end here as a odd, tense quiet falls between the two of you? Or is there words between the two of you now that you are left to your own devices?
I feel like this is probably that moment where Duke is expecting to hear something about the clan. Sava went through with his end. Now it's Duke needs a better understanding of what he has to do. So he'll kind of turn to you with fingers like touching and
expectantly
just says, so the Lasombra, Chicago. Tell me more.
Yeah, I've got places to be, but there's been a plan for a while. I heard it from an elder. As a clan, there's a lot of us that don't like the Sabbat anymore. It's gotten us, too many of us killed. Although, the Sabbat never cared about that. The elders, when they started dying, that's when they started to care. So, new friends, new bedfellows, or maybe a new end. Our clan has, if nothing else, survived through adversity. So I don't even care how it ends, but we need to try.
I'm here to help accommodate.
But,
Sava.
Thank you. I'll look forward to seeing you keep up your end of the bargain. A good place to start would be finding another Lasombra, because all the ones I know are dead or disappeared.
It shouldn't be too hard, from my understanding. Just find an ex-Sabbat hangout. Initially, it sounds like too many of you have finally discovered what it means to be a shovelhead. You would think, hearing that title, Shovelhead, you'd realize your purpose.
Yes, making it sound like we had a choice is very easy when we're talking about it like this.
Some we all have choices. Some are difficult. Some are easy. The easy choice is surviving, with the actions knowing exactly what sort of recompense or bills you have to pay, metaphorically speaking. The hard choice is never the one we want to make, but it's often the most rewarding.
I have paid a very large portion of my bill already.
And you continue to pay that bill, which is why you trusted me. And you went into a place that probably could have got you killed, most likely. You might be too trusting.
I think I sized you up just right. I'm still here, aren't I?
For now, Sava. For now.
Have a nice evening, Duke. Oh, that reminds me. I'm very, very happy that you have started pronouncing my name right. Although, a little disappointed that I haven't been able to start calling you Ducky. Good evening.
As he turns and leaves, Duke just, I imagine, eyes him the entire time until he's out of sight before, as the camera lingers with Duke and he breaks his gaze, so too does the camera fade to black. And in that blackness, we hear the screams of New York sidewalk, cars bustling and honking, and the chatter of countless civilians packed amongst each other as they pile through the sides. And as we watch, going down an alleyway, to a manhole that slips open, a force that can't be seen climbs out. You're in the area you were told to be, Max, to meet up with a familiar contact that you can't remember the name of and genuinely don't particularly care to. And as you walk around, you realize you are alone, For a few minutes, you are left alone, left to hear nothing but the chatter of the mortals nearby, before an unfamiliar voice seems to shout into the alley, yelling your name in particular. Max. I'm told there's supposed to be a Max here, and as the voice gets closer, a nonchalant, normal-looking individual with a ruffled brown hair and a scraggly beard kind of strolls in with his hands in his jacket pocket and long ripped jeans. He looks around, can't see you clearly, and continues to just kind of shout out for you.
I'll walk up to him and say in his ear, "Yeah, you heard right there, Junior."
He jumps immediately as he does so, and one hand kind of half comes out of his pocket. Can you roll me a wits awareness for me, please? With one success, he's certainly holding on to something in that pocket, likely some sort of protection of some sort, but you're not able to get a good glimpse of what comes out of that jacket pocket before his hands get slid back in, and he spins around to face the direction the voice came from.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Cool your jets there, sport. We're all friends here, right?
He clears his throat, simply nods, and pulls one of his hands out of the pocket and reaches inside his jacket before he slides out what seems to be a business card. He holds it out in front of him to whatever invisible force may be within him.
It gets plucked out of his hand and I assume vanishes as it does so.
As it does disappear, and he takes a step back after it gets plucked from his hand, and as Max looks down to it and examines the card for a moment, it's a business card for a limousine service. You have an interview. Address is on the back. He'd like to see you. Just ask for Kaiser. And as you hear the name Kaiser kind of spoken out into the open, you know full well who's looking to speak with you. You're not necessarily surprised he got word that you were looking to, or that you were about looking for information, but it's certainly not someone you were expecting to have to meet with tonight.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know the drill. Thanks there, kid.
He doesn't say anything, hands slide back into his normal jacket pocket, and he simply quietly and wordlessly leaves the alley and melds in with the crowd, disappearing. Max takes a look down again, looks at the address, and you realize you're only a few blocks out. Shouldn't take you all that long, especially if you decide to take the rooftops and leap like Batman from roof to roof.
Yeah, well, hey, why not? Why not?
You've got that soaring leap, might as well use it. And Max does so. The camera looks up to the sky from ground level, but we see nothing. No, only just an invisible man as he jumps from rooftop to rooftop. And eventually you make your way there. This is a hole-in-the-wall kind of, mom-and-pop limo shop. The kind of place you would see that would have one SUV limo and one normal-looking limo at most under their employ. It's a single-story place, and most of the lights on the sign for the limousine service are completely out, with one of them still flickering. There are chains pulled down in front of the windows, and the door clearly barred and locked for the night as you kind of land down in front of it. But eventually, with another few seconds to a few minutes of passing, as you look around, eagerly awaiting whoever it is you're supposed to meet here, a limousine does end up very quickly pulling up, sliding on the brakes, and the back door flies open. You don't need to take a wits awareness roll to see the warm glow of multiple screens filling the entirety of the inside of the limo. You had heard of Kaiser's mobile fortress, some call it. However, you've never personally been able to experience such a thing before.
Well, looks like I'm getting the royal treatment, huh?
Can I see anyone inside?
Not from this perspective. You just simply see the sliver that is available to you of the door being open. But if you get closer, stick your head in the inside. As you get closer and look in, you do notice on the inside, sitting in the back with a huge cigar sat between both of his lips as he's chomping on it, is a rather slim-looking Nosferatu. He himself has little wisps of white hair simply toward the back of his skull, all swooped back with gel. He has glasses on, and he wears a well-tailored, perfectly clean suit. He himself as a Nosferatu, compared to others that you've seen, looks relatively less decayed than most. He certainly looks corpse-like with a pale brownish skin, but there's no hunks of flesh missing from his face or grotesque bony fingers. Most of his skin is just pulled taut over his muscle and bone. Clearly somebody that would be perceived as a corpse or even perhaps a monstrosity to the normal eye, but to those who have dealt with Nosferatu kindred before, relatively put together. You can see him, and he looks over in your direction, even you being invisible. He seems to be looking at you, though you're not entirely sure if he's doing so simply waiting for you to walk into the vehicle, or if he truly does see you. Regardless, he says no words.
Well, I'll say a few. Hey, Kaiser. What's the rumpus?
And as you do so, do you come into view as you step into the limo?
Well, I'll wait until the door's closed behind me.
As you step inside, the door closes, and Max kind of comes into view. And with a slight grin and sharp teeth being flashed, you see a Kaiser take another deep drag of the cigar, blow all the smoke out, look you in the eye with a grin and be like, glad to see that my information is still dead on. Good to see you still walking the streets as a living being kindred there, Max.
Yeah, well, I know information's the name of your game, so there's a tidbit for you. I ain't dead.
He flicks some ash off of his cigar and gestures for you to sit down in one of the open leather seats. And as you sit down and take a look around with the glow of, you look at like somewhere between 5 and 10 computer monitors just kind of plastered around the limo. You see different security camera spots. Spots in New York that you're well aware of are heavily kindred occupied places, the feeding grounds and the rack and the like. Have security cameras kind of eyed, but other areas as the cameras flicker that you don't recognize, seemingly normal suburban streets or random back alleys that don't seem to have anybody but a pack of homeless people around a nearby fire. There doesn't seem to be a lot of rhyme or reason to the areas he seems to be surveilling from his vehicle. And as you sit, his eyes break from yours, looks up to the monitor a few times, takes another drag before he reaches in and pulls out a tin and pops the tin open to reveal 2 cigars and offers one to you.
Yeah, thanks. Don't mind if I do. I like a good stogie every now and then. So I see, from the look of things, you think the Camarilla can shove their rules up their ass. I like that.
He grins widely to you as he does kind of gaze upon what he might consider his kingdom, and then back to you. The Camarilla and the Anarchs are both lucky to get to work with me. They've been made well aware of that.
Man, it's good you let them know who's in charge.
He places a cigar in a nearby ashtray, folds his fingers, and leans back as you hear the creaking of the leather and feel the motion of the limo begin to pick up and start driving along the road. Word on the street is you're looking for a little information that I might be able to help you with, so why don't you do me the favor and just be plain with me right now and let me know exactly what it is you need, and if I can help you, maybe we can work out a deal.
Well, I'm specifically looking for information regarding the whereabouts of a certain piece of shit. And if you know anything about me, which I'm sure you do, you know who it is.
He simply nods. And ain't you been looking for him for many years at this point? What makes it now so imperative, so important?
Well, I'm assuming your information is up to date. And you know that he stuck his ugly mug up after decades in order to, shall we say, settle a score with me. And he settled it in a big way. But there's more. A little more recently, he started making himself known. Even showed up at an Elysium a little while back.
You see Kaiser simply just slowly nod. Yeah, I know all of this.
Yeah. And, maybe you're aware of why he dropped off the face of the earth again?
He shrugs, reaches over for a cigar, takes a large drag from it before allowing the smoke to kind of sit in his mouth for a few seconds and allowing it to fill the limo, now creating this very thick, hazy fog at which the two of you are peering at each other through. I had my own questions about it, a few questions about it, honestly. It's what I've been looking into, particularly how he was able to fade away into obscurity so very quickly as of recent. May have found a few things you might be interested in, but before we get to that, I imagine you know how this works. You want a little bit of help from me, you gotta be able to offer me a little bit of help in return.
Yeah, but, you probably know I don't go in for that boon shit, right?
He shakes his head. I'm not looking to you to owe me a favor. I like to do deep business straight up. across the table at the time the deal is done. So, that being said, I hear rumors that you're harboring a little somebody. Haven't gotten specifics yet. You've not poked your heads out all that often as of recent, only through Vera and Duke's most recent emergence to meet with their own sires have I learned that the three of you rather, are still at least alive and walking, though no peep or hear of Sean.
Yeah, well, that squares with what I know.
Hasn't changed the fact that some have seen a fourth walking with you, so I'm curious who it is.
Old friend of Vera's. Just met him myself.
An old friend of Vera's.
Yeah, associate, let's say.
Which Vera are we talking about? The one that's so well enmeshed within the Camarilla, or the one that was fighting the Camarilla for a few decades prior?
Well, you know what they say about people. They contain multitudes.
He simply continues his gaze with his half shit-eating grin on his face, expecting you to say more.
Look, Gustav and I, we got business between us. And I think you know that I want to settle it on a permanent basis. I came pretty close to dusting him decades ago. And even closer, I think, just a little while ago. But it wasn't enough. It's gotta be permanent. So, you also know that I don't rat on my friends. Alright? So what specifically do you want to know in exchange for whereabouts of Gustav?
I simply, and I think this is a pretty easy ask for what wealth of information you'll be stumbling into thanks to it, who this fourth person with you is. It'd be easier just to hear it from your source than to have to start digging on my own.
Yeah, well, you're gonna find out sooner or later. But the thing is, I don't know much. His name is, Sava.
He nods at that. All right, and then beyond that, you know nothing.
Only that he's looking to save his own skin, like most of us are.
Again, an awkward silence as he maintains his gaze with you. I respect your loyalty, Max. I do. It's impressive feat of you. Impressive feat of any of our kind to be so loyal to anything other than other Nosferatu. It's cute in a lot of ways. And he flashes his teeth. But this is business and nothing more. I'm not here to measure your loyalty to your friends, to pull strings and sell that information down the road later to do you bad. But if rumors are to be believed and what partial information I have is correct, I need to ensure that I have a finger on the pulse of the city. If that means harboring a former Black Hand, then we need to, he goes, then I just would prefer to know before shit hits the fan.
Does the term Black Hand mean anything to Max?
It's another term for Sabat.
Mm-hmm. It's like, oh yeah, he's one of them, all right. Or he was. He's looking to turn over a new leaf.
There's a kind of an understanding nod there. Interesting. Bedfellows you seem to fall in with often, Max.
Well, Vera and me go way back. If she vouches for him, that's good enough for me.
I appreciate the forthcoming nature of allowing me to ensure that my information is correct.
Yeah,
Now,
well, like I say, I was pretty sure you knew it anyway.
He smirks. Now, about the nasty business with Gustav. I, too, have been curious about his whereabouts. He sort of slipped under the radar a few weeks back after the messiness, shall we call it, in front of Vera's club with, and may she rest in peace, Prince Panhard.
Oh, you mean
that?
You mean that bit where I blew his crotch into little bloody smithereens? Yeah, that was messy.
He simply he nods to that. I haven't been able to find Gustav in particular, but I have been able to find the reason I think he's been able to hide so well. Gustav has a man on the inside, working with the government, or perhaps was ex-government, haven't gotten that far in, but I do have a name, if you're willing to write this down.
Yeah, sure. Hold on here.
Max pulls out his battered little journal.
Go ahead.
Yeah, his name's Gregory Vivek.
Gregory Vivek. Is that Gregory the normal way or with an I at the end? Like Gregory?
Normal way. It's
normal
the normal way.
Okay,
No
all
I.
right. Nice American Y at the end there. Okay.
Yeah,
Gregory.
perfect.
Gregory Vivek.
No, just Vivek.
Vivek. Gregory Vivek.
Yeah.
Oh, I
With an I and then an
cross
E.
this out now. Okay, all
No,
right.
just the Vivek.
Here, you write it down.
V-I-V-E-K.
You write it down.
Yeah, all right. He pulls the pen. He pulls the notebook and the pen from you, and he writes it down very hurriedly and kind of hands it back to you. CIA operative, or at least was at some point. Probably still has plenty of contacts within the old bureau. Was more active during the Soviet-Afghan war in the 80s. Regardless, apparently deep in the pockets of Gustav. I have reason to suspect he may be a ghoul or worse. At the very least, owes Gustav quite a bit of debt. If he knows, if he was if he was looking to keep himself off the records and out of the way of the Second Inquisition, if we are to believe that is what hit your club a few weeks back, then I imagine he's the key to keeping him away from their prying eyes after they were done with everything they accomplished. I have his home address as well.
That would be very valuable. Thanks very much.
No, you don't understand. That comes with another offer.
Oh, boy. All right, here we go.
Just need you to make a drop-off for me.
All right. Am I going to have to crack any heads along the way?
A man of your talents, I doubt you'll be seeing.
Fair enough. And what am I dropping off?
He pulls out of his pocket a USB thumb drive.
Okay. And where's this going to?
I'll have somebody hand that to you after you leave the limo. And this is what you're here for. And in his other pocket, he also pulls out a second USB drive. Information. I trust you're going to take care of what needs to be taken care of. You're a man of honor and loyalty, are you not, Max?
Yeah, I like to think so.
He hands this over to you in your other palm, and as he presses it down into your palm, has the contact information of the man I gave you the name for, and may or may not possess the names of his family members that might still be alive in case you can't find him directly.
Okay. I'm going to put that in this pocket, and that in this pocket, just to make sure that there's no comedy of errors kind of mix-up of this info.
He looks to you and notes in both pockets, and he's like, yeah, don't mix them up. They would be rather confused and I imagine frustrated if you handed some random addresses to the person I'd like you to drop this off for. Speaking of, and he reaches back and knocks on the limo glass as the limo suddenly kind of slows to a stop and your head kind of slams forward a little bit. The door slides open, gets thrown open from the driver who steps outside. We're at our stop.
All right. Nice doing business with you, Kaiser.
He nods. Did you take the cigar with you? Because I imagine you didn't even light it the whole time you were in there.
Yeah, when I tuck it into a pocket.
Yeah, you just tuck the cigar into your pocket and you step out.
Thanks for the
And
stogie.
as you step out,
I will ripple.
oh,
in-
disappear.
Yes.
Mhm.
Or is there anything he wants to say before I do?
Nope, he doesn't say a word.
Okay. Then I will. Let's check that rouse again.
Yep. I imagine you did. Yep, you did.
All right. And with my rumbly tummy, I'm going to. Oh wait, I haven't been given the address yet, have I?
No, as you're going invisible and the door is getting shut behind you, the driver simply whispers loud enough for you to hear, Italiano's at the corner of 56th and 7th.
Got it. Thanks, Chief.
He steps away, back into the driver's side of the limo, and the limo rolls off, lingering gently with Max. And as Max begins to step away as well, making his way to the intended destination, the camera fades to black. And we will return next week with more Stitch of Fate, everybody. Goodbye.
Hi there, mortals. Thanks for tuning in. It's your dear Vera Volkov, and I'm here to tell you that club is undergoing a few renovations after a little accident, and we could use all the resources to get us back on our feet. You can help us by either joining our Patreon or getting your hands on an official Stitch of Fate or Drakpack t-shirt by visiting TeePublic and searching Pod by Night. Well, go on. What are you waiting for?